Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, November 29th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will be moving around and changing, and the candlestick you see will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, COSM, and this had a very nice move today. This will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video last week, but talked about that being an area of resistance. But you can see this morning, price gapped up around this area, and then eventually got the breakout and up it went. So a very nice move in that regard. And that's what brings about the first key update, which is based on a foundational rule in charting, stating when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, they tend to act as support. And you want to see them act as support. So the newest level moving forward from a support standpoint going to be right up there around the 48-cent mark. Not the end of the world, though, if the price were to go down there and drop below it, because from a bigger picture point of view, you also have the purple line there, the 50-period moving average, and keyword there being moving. So as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So in other words, it's basically like a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So as long as the price remains above the quote-unquote trend line, then the overall trend is still plenty in the bull's favor. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, nothing fancy here, very straightforward. Just a question of where did the party stop last time, and that was up there at the 66-cent mark. So 66 cents will be next key level of resistance, but overall, the trend continues. Next one, HLBZ, did this one last week and overall had a nice gap up today. But this is where things get a little tricky because it depends on perspective. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you're buying right there, then yeah, today things look pretty rough because there was a big old pullback. But assuming you care about the big picture point of view, that is where this first update comes into play, which I just talked about on the previous one. But when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, say it with me, they tend to act as a support, right? So let's say that this pullback continues and comes down here, bounces around, and then heads back up. Now, emphasis here on big picture. From the big picture perspective, what would you still have? Well, you'd have a set of lows there, you'd have lows there, you'd have lows there, you'd have lows down here. And if you envision each one of those as stair-steps, what do you have? Well, from the big picture, you'd still have stair-steps progressing in the upwards direction. And that's the name of the game. That's what a truly strong move is going to do. It's going to make progress. And that's why, overall, the chart is so perfectly fine. Again, I understand if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair-steps. But that's why I try to make up, a distinction between, a day trader and somebody that cares about more so the bigger picture point of view. So assuming you do care about the grand scheme of things, the trend is still intact. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And overall, now a very, very well-defined level moving forward. So you got to think that a lot of eyeballs are going to be watching this level. And when a lot of eyeballs are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can definitely produce some very dynamic movements. And with this, we have that level right up there at that 200-period moving average, which is going to be the key level of resistance. Because you can see earlier today, price got up around there several times and could never quite get any momentum, maintain that momentum, then eventually fell back below. Now, the good news is it's not like the price crashed or anything like that back below it. So it's still within striking distance, but point being here that $186 is going to be that main area of resistance to watch moving forward on Tesla. If there is any sort of bigger pullbacks, then the level of support that I think a lot of people will be watching, myself included, will be this level down here, right at that level. So let me change that to green to represent the support level. But yeah, overall, key level that you got to think a ton of people are going to be watching is that 200-period moving average. So let's see if Tesla can make another go at it and try to get that breakout. Next one, TBLA, and this is for those of you that like to play stocks that get a lot of action and then get really, really nasty, because there's no doubt about it. This is a pretty nasty looking chart to think that the price gapped up, ran all the way up here, and true story, some poor souls out there were buying at that level, and then just drop. Pretty ugly situation, but there can still be some opportunity here, especially like you said, if you're trying to play maybe some sort of quick turnaround, which just makes that trend line there very interesting to see. Let me be very clear, there are no guarantees in the market. So just because the price may break above that level does not mean that there's going to be a whole bunch of momentum that shows up, but at least becomes interesting to think, okay, maybe some sort of momentum is showing back up, because this was a very, very deep pullback. Am I saying that the price goes back up to those highs? Of course not. But does the price even need to go back up to those highs to make it a worthwhile trade? Not if you're looking to play some sort of reversal at that trend line there, which is why, like I said, becomes a very interesting level to keep an eye on. As far as levels of support are concerned, keep an eye down there at the $2.40 mark. That'll be another very interesting level. But there's no doubt about it that this one was beat down in a hurry. Can it start to turn around? And if so, there could be a very nice little upside trade here. But these are also those where if you're not going to be disciplined, if you're not going to honor stop losses, these ones can turn very, very painful. So definitely make sure you're a disciplined trader. Next one, AMC, and a rough day here as the price pulled back some further, but not a terrible day, not a train wreck of a day. Why do I say that? Well, you can see that the price is still doing a good job holding up above that 705 mark. I suppose you could say got somewhat close right there, but regardless, the price still held up above it. But that will be a very important level moving forward. Again, 705, because as you can see here, there's quite a bit of history down around that level. So if the price were to drop down below there, that would be putting it down at lows that it's not been seen for a few weeks now. But also not totally the end of the world, because the good news here is that even if it were to break 705, not that far below, you do have an upsloping 200 period moving average, that pink line right there, valued at $6.86. Now, if the price breaks through both those levels, that would be a big red flag that the bears are taking back over. But just because that 705 mark fails, don't get me wrong, that's not a good sign, but it's not totally on the world, because you do have the 200 period moving average. As far as levels of resistance, I'm going to just go ahead and move this across, and we'll keep an eye on that. But really, before you pay too much attention to that red line up there, price first needs to break up above 50 period moving average right there, that purple line right now valued at 744. Real quickly, I wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering later on in the week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then definitely get signed up for the free training. Next one, SOFI, and for those of you that have been following my watch list videos, I've been tracking this for quite a while, and this, it's really hard to almost imagine how bad this beatdown has gotten, but I'm going to keep at it because, as I've said and will continue to say, it's a popular stock, and when things get beat down this much, there can be some very worthwhile bounces, and at this point in time, there's definitely some interesting dynamics that are going on. So let me get this drawn into play here. We have ourselves nice little falling wedge here, which is, believe it or not, a bullish pattern, whereas a rising wedge would be a bearish pattern. But you have this falling wedge pattern here. So in my mind, let's see what happens. Can we get some sort of move down to here and then get a bounce back up to there? And the bonus to that would be then a breakout. So that's going to be my main question mark moving forward is this falling wedge going to continue to hold? Will that level of support continue to hold down there around that level, which puts a key level of support around $4.39, give or take a little bit. But like I said, I'm going to stick with SOFI because it's now formed a falling wedge pattern. And when it's been beaten down this much, worth at least watching. And remember, that's what a watch list is. It's not to find stocks and then just randomly rush out and buy them. No, it's to find to find unique situations and watch them. So keep an eye on that. And like I said, no need to go out randomly rush and buy, but at least worth watching. Next one here, NIO. Been tracking this one for quite a while. So those of you that I know realize the 1085 mark. But the level here that I'm now wanting to get into play here and we need to start to watch is going to be that trend line right there, which did once again come into play during the opening 30 minutes of today, which when you look down here, you can see that that's right where the price found some support. So right now, you got to think a lot of people are watching that trend line, which goes back to the talking point of Tesla, when a lot of people are watching the same level, wondering the same thing. Call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic movement. So yes, no guarantees, but is it valid to think that the price comes down there and breaks through there, that could create a whole lot more downside pressure? That is certainly a more than valid scenario to keep in mind. So watch that level very important or very closely. If the price does bounce, first key level of resistance will be right there at that pink line, 200 period moving average, which is what rejected it this morning. And then as I already talked about, 1085, that next level of support, next level of resistance. Next one, SHOP, Shopify, and this is a nice little pattern because it's very well defined. There's really two ways you could approach it. You could say, you know what, I think this pullback is over. I think this consolidation period is gonna, is finally kind of done. And the way you can quantify that is watching that $38.30 mark. Again, no guarantees, but is it valid to think that the price comes up there and breaks up through there, that break could create a nice little turnaround? Again, not necessarily going up to retest those highs, but you don't need to retest those highs because from a risk-reward standpoint, when you structure the trade plan the right way, you just don't need it to go all the way up to those highs. And that would just be a cherry on top if it did. But like I said, a well-defined level of resistance for some sort of turnaround. And then as far as pullbacks are concerned, you have a well-defined gap close, former breakout point down here at $37. So that's another little interesting area to keep an eye on. So like I said, a lot of different ways you could approach this, whether you're a breakout player, whether you're a pullback player. Whether you're some sort of speculation player, there's several different angles that you could take with this one. But at the end of the day, it's got very well-defined levels, and to me, that's where half the battle lies. Next one, DBGI, and nice little move here. Now, I realize what you may be saying. Well, what are you talking about, Clay? Right now, there is this downwards channel that has formed, which is true. So let me get this downwards channel mapped out here. Downwards channel is in play, but you got to ask yourself, well, what was going on before the downwards channel? So let's just make this all one color, hopefully make it easier to see. So yes, as of now, there is this pullback, there is this downwards channel, but what happened before then? Well, you had this big old move up. So what we actually have here is a bull flag pattern. And a lot of people, you got to think, are watching this. So as I've said and will continue to say, guaranteed no. But is it valid to think that the price comes up to the top of that bull flag, gets the break, that break right there could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure? That is certainly a more than valid scenario to consider. So keep a close eye on that bull flag pattern, especially if you like to play stocks down below $10 and like to play the bull flag as a setup. Next one, TQQQ, which is the most popular ETF on the market, and this is one that allows you to take advantage of the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ is going to rise in value, then you would buy this one because this would also go up. So that is why this one has gone down quite a bit today, because NASDAQ had a rough day. But from a technical point of view, we're now looking at a couple of very interesting levels, mainly this level down here at $20.90, which is what, in fact, let me zoom out so you can see more so where this is coming from. But you can see quite a bit of history down around that area. So if the price breaks below there, again, I'm not going to say everything is totally destroyed, but things are starting to look very, very shaky. And that is not some sort of great discovery on my part. I assure you, a lot of people will be watching $20.90. If there are any sort of bounces, then yeah, you have these couple levels. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of these now because if anything, they're just creating clutter right now, because the main area of resistance to watch any sort of bounce will be that 50-period moving average. You can see has already rejected the price a couple of times, and that's valued at 22.04. So yeah, rough day here for TQQQ. Definitely a lot of eyeballs going to be watching at $20.90. I think it's going to be at least testing that. What happens with it, it's going to get very interesting. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live training that I'm offering later on in the week. As I said, it'll be Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you'd like for me to continue to make these videos, please do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment down below. So thanks for watching. Get signed up for that free training. Have a good one.